Vietnam's $16 billion airport has just seen its first test flights land. But why would a country build a project this massive completely from scratch and place it far outside its largest city? This was Vietnam's biggest infrastructure gamble, born out of crisis, pushed through near collapse, and now dependent on one crucial question: can people actually reach it efficiently? If you enjoy stories about global infrastructure and mega projects, subscribe to Design Zip for more in-depth stories from around the world. Why Vietnam had to replace its busiest airport? For years, Vietnam's busiest airport has been operating far beyond its limits. Tan Son Nhat Airport was originally designed for 30 million passengers per year. Yet today it handles more than 40 million. During peak travel seasons, the terminal feels like an overwhelming stress test for travelers. And unfortunately, there is almost no solution. Tan Son Nhat is completely surrounded by the city. Urban expansion has boxed it in with highways, apartment complexes, and even military land. There's no space for additional runways and very limited room for major expansion. Vietnam didn't just need a temporary fix. It needed a fresh start. That's why Long Thanh International Airport was planned. Located about 40 kilometers east of Ho Chi Minh City, in Dong Nai province, Long Thanh offers something Tan Son Nhat never had: space. More than 5,000 hectares of continuous land. From the beginning, the goal was scale. While the long-term vision targets 100 million passengers annually, Phase 1 is focused on 25 million passengers. When fully completed, Long Thanh is expected to handle up to 100 million travelers every year. Inside Long Than's massive design and layout, Long Thanh is planned with 4 full-length runways. These are not short regional strips, but large runways built for long-haul aircraft. The main runway alone stretches 4,000 meters, capable of accommodating wide-body aircraft like the Boeing 787 and even the Airbus A380. From the very beginning, this airport was designed for intercontinental travel. Then there are the terminals. Instead of one overcrowded terminal handling everything, Long Thanh will feature 4 massive terminals, each designed to manage around 25 million passengers annually. Phase 1 will open with a single terminal, but the remaining ones are already planned for future expansion. Even the terminal's shape has symbolic meaning. The roof design is inspired by the lotus flower, Vietnam's national symbol. But the design isn't just aesthetic. The wide-span structure allows natural light to fill the interior, creating large open spaces that help passengers move efficiently, something Tan Son Nhat struggles with daily. And then comes the technology. From the moment travelers enter the terminal, systems like facial recognition and automated baggage handling aim to eliminate the chaos often associated with busy airports. At its core, Long Thanh is more than just an airport project. It is an economic pressure valve for Vietnam's future. More than an airport, Vietnam's growth strategy. Ho Chi Minh City is Vietnam's economic powerhouse. Manufacturing, exports, tourism, much of it depends heavily on air connectivity. Long Thanh is designed to unlock new long-haul routes, attract more international airlines, and eventually turn southern Vietnam into a major regional aviation hub. But the vision doesn't stop with the runways. Urban planners expect entire logistics zones, free trade areas, aircraft maintenance centers, hotels, and business districts to grow around the airport. Mega airports like this often reshape entire regions. But building such an ambitious project is one challenge. Surviving the chaos of its creation is another. Delays, disputes, and near collapse. Long Thanh wasn't a sudden idea. Concepts for this airport were discussed as early as the early 2000s. Every few years the plan resurfaced, only to stall again. Sometimes it was considered too expensive, sometimes too risky, and sometimes politicians simply couldn't agree. But eventually reality forced the decision. Tan Son Nhat was overwhelmed, flights were backing up, and Vietnam's aviation industry was growing rapidly. Finally, the government approved Phase 1, and construction officially began in January 2021. Then, the worst possible timing arrived. COVID-19. Borders closed, supply chains collapsed, and labor shortages created major uncertainty. International contractors struggled to travel, making progress extremely difficult. But COVID was only the beginning. The biggest challenge came from the land itself. The airport site covered 5,000 hectares, but it wasn't empty. Thousands of families lived and farmed there. Entire communities had to be relocated, leading to compensation disputes and protests. Adding to the danger, the land also contained unexploded wartime ordnance. Before construction could even start, the entire area had to be scanned and cleared. That process alone took years. You cannot pour concrete when the ground might explode. Then another setback appeared. In 2022, bidding for the main terminal failed because no consortium met the strict requirements. That meant rebidding, further delays, and intense scrutiny. At one point, accusations flew between competing construction groups, and several officials involved in land clearance were even arrested. Many mega projects collapsed under such pressure, but Long Thanh didn't. National leaders demanded rapid progress. Construction shifted to 24-hour operations, with thousands of workers rotating shifts. Heavy machinery operated non-stop. By this point, the project had become too important to fail. Financing the mega project. Normally, a project this large would push a government deep into debt. But Long Thanh followed a different approach. The Airports Corporation of Vietnam largely self-financed Phase 1 using years of accumulated profits and reserves. During the pandemic, ACV still held over $1 billion in liquid assets. That money became the project's financial backbone. Banks offered more than $1.8 billion in credit, but much of it remained unused. Long Thanh continued construction without taking on massive debt. The first real results. By late 2025, the progress finally became visible. The 4,000-meter runway was complete. Taxiways were finished. Aprons were ready. Navigation systems were tested. In December 2025, a Vietnam Airlines Boeing 787 performed a technical test flight, landing successfully at Long Thanh. After years of delays, politics, scandals, and pressure, the airport was finally real. Commercial operations are expected to begin in 2026, but surviving construction was only half the battle. The real risk that could decide its future. Long Thanh may be built, but its biggest challenge lies ahead. And surprisingly, it has nothing to do with airplanes. It's access. The airport sits 40 kilometers from Ho Chi Minh City. On a map, that distance looks small, but in the heavy traffic of southern Vietnam, it can feel much longer. Currently, the airport relies mostly on road connections. Yes, expressways connect the airport to the city, but roads mean congestion, rush hours, and delays. For major international hubs, efficiency is everything. And right now, the missing piece is rail transportation. There are plans for a light rail connection and even a future high-speed rail stop. But these projects could still take years to complete. That delay could be risky. Airports like Dubai, Incheon, and Hong Kong succeed because they are deeply integrated into fast transport networks. Without that connectivity, airlines may hesitate. Technology inside the airport. Inside the airport itself, however, the outlook is promising. Long Thanh is packed with modern systems. Biometric check-in, facial recognition boarding, automated baggage systems where each suitcase travels in its own carrier. A central operations center monitors everything in real time. On paper, it is world-class infrastructure. But all that speed means little if passengers spend 2 hours stuck in traffic just to reach the terminal. The airline question. Another challenge is airline commitment. For Long Thanh to succeed, airlines must shift major international routes away from Tan Son Nhat. That means relocating schedules, cargo operations, and crew bases. If airlines hesitate, the airport could face low utilization in its early years. And finally, there is the competition factor. Long Thanh will compete with powerful regional hubs like Bangkok and Singapore. Infrastructure alone doesn't guarantee success. Strategy does. Long Than's runways are ready. The terminal stands waiting. But the real test is still ahead. Getting passengers there efficiently and convincing them to return. From the scarred ground of a former conflict zone to the soaring lotus-inspired halls of a $16 billion gateway, Long Thanh represents Vietnam's bold step into the future. It is an enormous gamble of engineering, ambition, and strategy, designed to move 100 million passengers each year. The real question now is simple. Can a nation build its way into greatness? Or does success depend on the small details, like the roads that bring people there?